So AOC, she did an interview with, this is back in January, by the way. So it just came out now, but the interview was done on January 26th. And, you know, this has been causing a little bit of a hysteria on social media, and I can see why. So I'm going to show you one part in this interview, which I think is really interesting. Although Eric London for World Socialist website, he wrote a good article, you should go check it out, about this interview, what AOC said, and he goes into the history of the DSA. So that's worth checking out as well. But let's look at the original question and answer that AOC gave. This is the interview as it is. So we're not taking anything out of context here, okay? All right? We're not taking anything out of context. So she's asked about Joe Biden. The question is, some on the left have looked at Biden's record and his differences with the Bernie wing of the party, and they conclude that no progress is going to come out of the Biden administration. The question is, some on the left have looked at Biden's record and his differences with the Bernie wing of the party, and they conclude that no progress is going to come out of the Biden administration. What is your view? And AOC says, well, I think it's a really privileged critique. Wow. Wow. That's off to a good start, right? She says, we're going to have to focus on solidarity with one another, developing our senses for good faith critique and bad faith critique, because bad faith critique can destroy everything that we have built so swiftly. And we know this because it has in the past, and it's taken us so many decades to get to this point. We do not have the time or the luxury to entertain bad faith actors in our movement. But also, we have to value our solidarity with one another. For anyone who brings that up, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the message that you are sending to your black and brown and undocumented members of your community, to your friends, when you say that nothing has changed? That's actually really interesting, because that's Joe Biden who said that. Remember when he was running, he said nothing will fundamentally change? Bit of a Freudian slip. Quoting Biden right there, huh? So she says perhaps not enough has changed. And this is not a semantic argument. Just the other night, we in collective struggle were able to stop the deportations of critical members of our community. And that would not have happened in a Trump administration. And then the interviewer says, thank you. And AOC continues, they were just on the belt, ready to go. And you just cannot say that nothing will change. We can make the argument that not enough is changing fast enough. And these really are not nitpicking questions of semantics, because this is how the language that we use communicates to individuals. Who is included, and who do you consider a person? When you say nothing has changed, you are calling the people who are now protected from deportation, quote, no one. And we cannot allow that. We cannot allow for that in our movement. That's not a movement that I want to be a part of. And I know that's not the movement that we are a part of. We're so susceptible to cynicism, and that cynicism, that weaponization of cynicism, is what has and what continues to threaten to tear down everything that we have spent so much time building up. We're allowed to win too, by the way. Okay, so it's exhausting reading her verbal diarrhea salad. So listen, man, that is an exhaustive answer to say that, yeah, Joe Biden is no different than Trump. And I find it astonishing that she talks about black and brown people like being referred to as no one, when she is, in her answer and in her discourse, erasing the millions of black and brown people that Joe Biden has hurt. Literally Joe Biden, not just the Democratic Party as a whole as well, but Joe Biden specifically, with the Iraq War, with the crime bill. What, they don't count? Because she's doing the opposite. Now she's saying that, look, because of this tiny thing that we were able to accomplish, all of Joe Biden's vices do not matter anymore. Vices is putting it very, very lightly. And what I think she's referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be mistaken about this, but this interview was done on January 26th, right? And this is just after Joe Biden took office. And you remember one of the things he signed, he put a moratorium on deportations for 100 days. And he also reversed the child separation policy, which, if you break it down, it didn't say snatch babies from their parents, although that's what was happening. But it was that if you enter the United States illegally, you will be criminally prosecuted. And because you are being criminally prosecuted, the children cannot come with you when you're being detained, right? So it's very harsh. It's a zero tolerance policy. And by consequence, children were being separated, right? That's true. So she said that January 26th, and I'm assuming she's referring to the moratorium on deportations for 100 days, right? Well, the next day, literally the next day on January 27th, right, a federal judge blocked that. He overturned the 100-day moratorium on deportations. Okay, so let me just pull this up for you. This is from CBS. So federal judge indefinitely blocks Biden administration's 100-day moratorium on most deportations. This one's from February 24th, but I had the other article up just here, which was from Tuesday, January 26th. So, virtually on the same day she gave the interview, or the next day, it was already clear that this was being halted. So, the child separation policy, that's true. That's ended in the way that Trump had implemented it. But, deportations have not been completely halted. So I don't know how that kind of, even if the moratorium had not been overturned, okay, let's for argument's sake, they say that no judge had overturned that. How does that take away the fact that Biden deported 3 million people under Obama when he was vice president? How does that change the fact that right now, he says, oh, we're not snatching babies from mothers' arms, and yet you go and look at the pictures in these border facilities, the same ones, he's reopened them, right? And AOC was calling them concentration camps, and she was saying, kids in cages. Everyone was saying kids in cages. Now she's silent. She won't even go down to the border, right? Biden won't even go down to the border. The conditions are almost identical. And you have 15,000 minors that are now, in border facilities, as they call them, migrant overflow facilities. Office containers and, those suffocated rooms, people sleeping on the floor in aluminum foil. I mean, that doesn't look very, it doesn't inspire much confidence, does it? And the fact that he won't let the media in, how do you explain that? How is that okay? Why won't he let the media in? Like, let people see what's going on, right? Look at this. How is this better than Trump? I'm going to show you the picture again. I mean, this is just one picture from many, but how is this any better? It looks almost identical. They just replaced the fence with plastic. And I mean, the people are still confined in, cramped spaces. They're still sleeping on the floor. This does nothing for COVID, yet they say that they can't let journalists in because of COVID. I mean, what is this nonsense? And how does that answer the question? Like, we're talking about, Joe Biden delivering on promises and being better than Trump. And, not only did he reject most of Bernie's platform, because remember, AOC endorsed Bernie for Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, Green New Deal. The one thing that was on Biden's platform, the $15 minimum wage, is gone. And okay, to be fair, when she gave this interview in January 26th, we didn't know that, although we kind of did. I told you they're going to do the shit. I told you what Biden is going to be. But they hadn't done the relief bill and then, pretended that, we're going to put it in the House version. And then, when the Senate parliamentarians rules that we can't have it in the Senate, well, we'll just chuck it out and then vote for it anyway. What is this? What kind of an answer is that? Right? How does that absolve him of this? There was no Trump back then. This was Biden. This was Obama. And I'm fucking astonished, honestly. Like it makes me angry. It really does, because I don't know what to say, man. It's staggering. It's really staggering that she can say things like this. Hold on. That she can say things like this. I think it's a really privileged critique. What? A privileged critique? A privileged critique, really. I mean, I want to ask AOC something, right? AOC, okay? AOC seems to think that anyone who criticizes Biden is privileged. Really? I didn't know that 12 million Syrians who are starving under sanctions are privileged. And that, Biden's stealing Syria's oil like a pirate. That's privilege. Preventing Syria from rebuilding, that's privilege. Bombing Syria, that's privilege. Those are literally Donald Trump policies. Why don't you ask Julian Assange how privileged he feels that Biden is continuing to persecute journalists? Why don't you ask Afghans how they feel that Biden won't leave their country? Are they privileged? I mean, these politicians are literally starving their own, they're starving others, they're killing, they're bombing, and then they have the fucking nerve to say that our critiques are privileged. You want to talk about black and brown people and then defend a man who spent his entire career jailing and bombing black and brown people? AOC got elected to play hardball with Democrats, not to kiss their asses. She should be fucking roasting Biden for what he's doing at the border, reopening the places that she called concentration camps. She should be roasting Biden for lying about the $2,000 checks. She's one of the most popular politicians in the United States. That is privilege. She should be unloading on every Democrat for their corruption. Instead, what does she do? She goes and votes to re-elect Pelosi. She votes to give you crumbs in December and March. She refuses to force the vote on Medicare for all, and she lies about it for the minimum wage. That's not fighting. That is carrying water for the Biden administration. AOC has not said a word about Biden bombing my country, bombing Syria. She threw Assange under the bus in that other interview. The squad at this point, they're just a branding exercise to insulate Democrats from criticism. That's what it's about, right? Democrats' diversity, that's their first line of defense from criticism as they continue policies that actually hurt people of color and minorities. So maybe you tolerate that because you don't have family in Syria, or you don't care that Assange is locked up in London, or you don't care about people in Afghanistan, Yemen, Iran, but I fucking do, okay? So don't come here and lecture me that this shit is acceptable because the asshole that is sitting in the Oval Office is on Team Blue and has a D next to their fucking name, right? AOC, she's explicitly telling you that if you open your mouth about Biden, right, you're not only privileged, you're also a bad faith actor. I mean, think of what that means. That's borderline cultish. That anyone who criticizes the wonderful president is ill-intentioned. Can you imagine if a Republican said that shit? So no, I do not think that Joe Biden is different from Trump. Biden built the system that gave you Trump. He's actively keeping 99% of Trump's policies in place. But of course, the Democrats and the media, they're not going to tell you that. He's Trump with a nicer mask. And if this is the so-called left wing of the Democratic Party and they're carrying water for this fucking ghoul, well, no wonder we're screwed. It's fucking unbelievable, honestly. Privileged. What the fuck? You don't have to worry about healthcare. You have a huge platform. You can do whatever you like. Privileged. Disgusting. They take people for suckers, really. Privileged. Like she acts as if like Biden is operating within a vacuum, like as if, you know, all these people he's jailed because of the crime bill, all these people that he deported, yeah, they don't exist, right? He was born in January 2021, as if he did nothing before that, and as if he's not doing shit right now, right? Privileged. It's privileged of her to say that. That's what real privilege is. She's fucking protecting the Democratic Party. That's what she's doing now. She's not playing hardball. This is bullshit. Not tolerating this. So, you know, and again, the fact that I feel like people just forgot about the Assange thing, right? Like how she gave an interview, it was with The Intercept, right? In late 2020, and you know, she's talking about how, you know, she's not sure and mincing words. She was mincing words about Assange. You have to be unequivocal when you're talking about Assange. It's very clear what's going on with Assange, right? And she threw him under the bus. And she's reneged on virtually everything that she ran on. The only one that I would actually give some credit to is Ilhan Omar. You know, you look at Ilhan Omar and AOC, they're not the same. Ilhan Omar, she's actually asking Blinken about the Iran deal. She's saying, matter of fact, let's cover it right now because I wanted to anyway. I want to show you that clip because I want to show it to you. And we've been talking about this. Give me 1 second to find it. It's from about 2-3 weeks ago, right? They're having a hearing. So, and also another thing that I want to say about Ilhan Omar, I'll say it now. So just give me 1 second to find the clip. And I disagree with her on a lot. So I'm not, you know, let's be clear on that. But credit where credit is due. Just like, I mean, I'm not saying she's like Rand Paul, but just to give you an example, Rand Paul, I disagree with him even more on virtually 99.9% of everything. And he ripped Blinken. So I'm never going to pass up a good opportunity to look at someone ripping Blinken. I'm sorry, I'm just not. So anyway, let's take a look at this because this is very important. And this is, I found it. Just give me 1 second to pull it up for you. Okay. Here we go. So, okay.